What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Fresh Review. So you're new to the channel. What we do here, we review each and every game of the NFL regular season. Now, we are way behind. As I record this, the NFL regular season has officially ended, so I know the standings and all that. But I'm going to pretend like I don't know the standings. I'm going to give you my expectations as these weeks were unfolding. That way, in the future, you want to go back, you want to rewatch these videos. You'll be able to get a end time analysis of what was going on, what the public was thinking, and stuff like that. But we're going to start this week off, which is week 11, with the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Washington Commanders. Philly is the home team in this game, and they continued their win streak. Now, this game was very interesting because the Commanders, at the time, this is for the division lead. The Commanders are up 7-3 going into halftime, and Philly left a lot of points on the board by being aggressive, by going for fourth down, by missing some field goals when they did decide to try to kick it. So the Eagles actually found themselves down 10-6 going into the fourth quarter, but the Eagles scored 20 points this quarter. They run the ball really well. Saquon Barkley gets two big play rushing TDs. Jalen Hurts gets a touch push TD as well. The touch push one was the one that gave them the lead, and then the Saquon one extended their lead, and then the second Saquon TD ended the lead. Saquon, great this game yet again, had 26 carries for 146 yards and two touchdowns. If you count his receiving, he had two catches, 52 yards. So he was just 2 yards short of 200 total scrimmage yards, finished with 198 total. He's a star player, potential offensive player of the year, but he's even creeping his way towards the MVP conversation. It's a very loaded MVP race here. Now, on the flip side, we go over to the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels wasn't too great this game. He did a whole lot of dinking and dunking. Austin Eckler led the way receiving wise, 8 catches, 89 yards. Zach Ertz, the former Eagle, get a little bit of revenge here. He gets the passing TD from Jaden Daniels. So Zach Ertz finishes with 6 catches, 47 yards, and the receiving TD. But other than that, not much going on in the passing game. Terry McLaurin has been having a tremendous season. He finishes with 1 catch for 10 yards this game. So he was shut out. And although the final score says 26-18, this game was over well earlier into the fourth quarter. About the 5-minute mark when Saquon got the second TD, this game was pretty much over. The Commanders' TD that cut it to one possession came with like 28 seconds left, and they needed to try to recover an onside kick. They didn't get it, and that ended the game. I thought this was a good game, but barely good, right? It was close for the most part. But no, bad coaching decisions, not too many crazy big plays except for Saquon, who started eating in the second half. But I'm giving this game a 72 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game. And that is the Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears. And I consider this to be the game of the week. That's why you guys see it in the background. Now, you guys seen any of my previous videos where I showed Madden Ultimate Team highlights. But the reason I'm not doing that anymore is it's extremely time consuming to do. And we're so far behind. This is way quicker to catch us up. Now for next year, I probably won't do Madden highlights again. What I will do, if you guys are okay with this, I just keep doing the gameplay like this. This is why we'll never go behind again. This is real easy to do. I'm planning on doing one video a day until we catch all the way back up. This is way quicker and easier for me to do and maintain for a full 20 weeks, the whole entire NFL season. But if this is unacceptable for you guys, let me know in the comment section down below. I could look into next year doing a Madden Ultimate Team gameplay, like a full game, just so that way I only got to play like 20 good games, have those in the background, and I'm good to go. But we're going to go ahead and dive into this game, the Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, game of the week in my opinion. And the game is a game of the year contender. This game was good all the way throughout, going back and forth. Now it comes down to the final possessions. Green Bay found themselves down 5. The Bears could have been up 7. They went for a 2-point conversion, didn't get it. So they're up by 5. Jordan Love goes down the field, gives the Packers a touchdown. Now they failed the 2-point conversion as well. So the Packers are only up 20-19. Can Caleb Williams get the Bears down the field? Yes, he can. He gets the Bears in the field goal range. Now, the field goal is only a 46-yarder, so it's not a chip shot, but it's not a long field goal. It's not a long shot either. It looks like it's going to be good, but it gets blocked and it does not go through the upright. So we see another blocked field goal that ends the game. We just saw one a couple weeks prior with the Broncos and the Chiefs. Now we see it this week. And Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers continue the ownership of the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears cannot beat this team. And if I recall correctly, in the contract when the Bears joined the NFL, it said if the Bears lose again to the Packers, the Bears have to relocate to Wisconsin. So we're looking at the Milwaukee Bears potentially here. If they continue losing to Green Bay one more time, if they lose one more time and the streak continues, Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers, the ownership contract says that they have to relocate to Wisconsin. So hopefully for Chicago's sake, they win when they play again in Week 18, and the Bears do not have to relocate because they're going to be doing a whole lot of things, rehiring, firing, everything in between. But, I mean, when you got to also move the team, it's going to be a very long offseason. Now, going ahead and going to the stats. Josh Jacobs here, another solid performance by him. He goes for over 100 scrimmage yards. He goes for 76 on the ground with a rushing TD. He also goes for 58 receiving yards. So you add them up, you get 134 total yards for him. He has been picking up as the season goes on. The first month or so wasn't that good in the new offense, but these past few weeks, past 2 months, been getting better and better. Jordan Love throws another interception. His interception streak continues. He goes for 261 yards, but Christian Watson gets the bulk of that. He goes for 4 catches, 150 yards. Now on the flip side, we got the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams doesn't get a passing TD, doesn't get a rushing TD, but he does have a solid game. He goes for 300 total yards. Now he goes 231 on the air, 9 carries, 70 rushing yards. So Caleb Williams, you knew he was a dual threat, but 70 rushing yards is even incredible for him. DeAndre Swift also gets 70 rushing yards. He also gets a TD. He does that on 14 carries. Rashawn Johnson gets the other TD. And overall, I thought this game was spectacular. I'm giving it a 96 out of 100. It's definitely a Game of the Year candidate. And that will lead us into our next game, which was far from a Game of the Year candidate. The Detroit Lions beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 52-6. And believe it or not, the Jaguars actually had to lead this game. They kicked a 59-yard field goal, take the 3-0 lead early on, and after that, the Lions beat the brakes off them. They took a 28-6-point lead at half. It was 42-6 in the third quarter, and the game was over. I mean, even the backups started coming in and doing stuff. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown throwing TD passes to Jared Goff in the fourth quarter. I'm like, y'all are up by 5 touchdowns, and y'all are showing your whole playbook. Like, I really think Ben Johnson is wilding out to try to get this type of job right here against the Jaguars, because Doug Peterson's gone after this season. I can guarantee you that. And Ben Johnson is like, okay, Jacksonville, I want you to see all the tricks I can do, because this was uncalled for. This is the fourth quarter when you're up by like 6 possessions. You're still throwing trick plays in here. Philly specials. This beatdown was so personal, I felt disrespected. Jared Goff, a definite MVP contender. And it's going to be tough for him to get it because, you know, the primetime games carry so much weight because everybody sees those games. So, you know, when all the games are going on simultaneously, you know, you might be able to hide the whatever, people might forget. But the primetime game of him throwing 5 interceptions in one game when perhaps Lamar or Josh Allen might not even throw 5 interceptions all season long, it's tough to people to get out of their head. But Jared Goff was phenomenal in this game. He has 412 passing yards, 4 TDs, passing TDs. He also gets the receiving TD. St. Brown right there with him. He had 11 catches, 161 yards, 2 TDs. St. Brown's definitely one of the best wide receivers in the league. Elite top slot wide receiver, maybe number 1. You know, you can argue between him and Lamb. Jefferson plays slot a lot, but I mean, I don't really consider Jefferson a slot wideout because I think he can line out wide and still go crazy. But David Montgomery gets 2 rushing TDs on the ground. Jameson Williams goes for 4 catches, 124 yards, and a TD. Jahmyr Gibbs gets one catch for 54 yards, so big play that there by Gibbs. He also gets 69 rushing yards and a rushing TD, so he goes over 100 scrimmage yards. On the flip side, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matt Jones is filling in after the hit Trevor Lawrence took in the Philadelphia Eagle game. Hopefully, he can come back after the bye week they have next week. I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Peterson gets fired during the bye week, but after the season, without a doubt, he's going to be out of there. Right now, they're 2-9. There's a good chance they finish with the number one overall pick. I think they take Travis Hunter if they do finish there. Let me know who you guys think they take in the comment section down below. But when you look at what the Jacksonville Jaguars did, Travis Etienne came back. He got a full workload here since Tank Bigsby was out. Etienne goes for 12 carries, 27 rushing yards, so he doesn't even do anything to retain his starting role. When Tank Bigsby returns, maybe they do a 50-50 split. Maybe Tank Bigsby get the lead role. I don't know what they're going to do here, but receiving-wise, BTJ leads the way. He goes for 5 catches, 82 yards, and he is pretty much the only one that did anything this game. Evan Ingram had 5 catches as well for only 28 yards, but Matt Jones did not get anything going. He only threw for 138 passing yards on 29 pass attempts, and he also had an interception, and this game was an absolute massacre. This game was a crime against humanity. I felt bad. You're a Jaguars fan. I want to say better days are ahead, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what's ahead for you. This game was egregious. I'm giving this a 9 out of 100 only because the Lions make some entertaining plays, but the Jaguars did absolutely nothing. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings take on the Tennessee Titans. The Minnesota Vikings won this game 23-13. Justin Jefferson gets 6 catches, 81 yards. Jordan Addison gets 3 catches, 61 yards, and TD. Sam Darnold, sneaky MVP candidate. 246 yards, 2 passing TD. Also gets a rushing TD, QB sneak. So not a bad game by him. Aaron Jones and Cam Akers don't get anything going on the ground, but Cam Akers does get a receiving TD. Together, they combined for 25 carries on 64 rushing yards, so not a great game running, but the Vikings still win this game 23-13. On the flip side, we got Will Levis playing for the Tennessee Titans, and he gets sacked 5 times this game. Throws an interception. Also throws a TD, though. He had 295 passing yards. Didn't have any memes. So, not a horrendous game, but the Titans also get nothing going on the run game. Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears finished with 12 carries for 15 rushing yards. Now, if the Titans are the number one pick, they also have a 2-8 record, similar to Jacksonville. It's tough because if they're the number one pick, I think they should go Travis Hunter. I think they need the help defensively and offensively. Their defense isn't atrocious, though. But I believe in best player available. I don't think you should force the QB spot, right? So I can't imagine another year of Will Levis. I know it sounds crazy to say, but I think there is a possible world where they might not go Cam Ward. They might not go Shedeur Sanders. They might go Travis Hunter. Let me know what you guys are doing in the comment section down below. But receiving-wise, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine goes for 2 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. He gets a big play here. The biggest play of the season, if I believe, for scrimmage, not a kickoff. 98-yard receiving TD down the sideline. Absolutely perfect throw by Will Levis. But I thought this game, although it had solid highlights, I thought was slightly above average. I'm going to give it a 59 out of 100. And now we have the Raiders taking on the Miami Dolphins. This game, the Miami Dolphins led from start to finish. Now, Devon Achane is somebody I want to talk about in particular, though. He is somebody I didn't expect to handle a full workload. I wasn't sure his body's built for it. He's been healthy for the most part this season, except for the time he got that concussion. He finishes this game with 73 rushing yards and a TD. He also gets 4 catches, 32 receiving yards. So he gets a lot of I think he's the main benefactor of this offense, right? Even more so than Tyreek Hill, who was Offensive Player of the Year last year. It's like Devon Achane's the centerpiece of this offense. No disrespect to Tua, though, who was also great this game. He goes for 288 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, Jonnu Smith is an interesting player. He is one of those dudes I always thought was a talented tight end when it came to pass catching, but he's having a career year. He's finished this game with 101 receiving yards, 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. So another solid game by Jonnu Smith. He's been catching fire as of late. Tyreek Hill, who I talked about previously, is an Offensive Year Player of the Year candidate from last year. He also finds the end zone here, 7 catches, 61 yards. But the person I'm disappointed in the most this year is Jalen Waddle. He seems like a side piece in this offense, maybe even the fourth option behind, receiving option behind Jonnu, Tyreek, and Achan. Waddle only goes for 2 catches, 37 yards. Hopefully they can get Waddle more involved, especially after they get on the contract in the offseason. So we have to see what happens there. Now we go over to the Raiders on the flip side. Raiders tried to make this game competitive. They weren't all the way out of it, so it was mildly entertaining. Now we go look at their player, Brock Bowers. Their tight end levels to this. 13 catches, 126 yards, 1 TD. This man is a baller. Gardner Minshew, their quarterback, who I expect the Raiders to actually draft a quarterback. This is a team 2-8. I'm expecting them to go get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, either one. But Gardner Minshew, 282 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Also throws a pick, but not a horrible game for Gardner Minshew. Now they tried to fight back and take the lead here. Rushing wise, they didn't have the best rushing production here. They haven't really all season. But Jacoby Myers did break a 20-yard run on a wide receiver reverse. He led the way for them on the ground rushing this game. So overall, I thought this was a well above average game. Very entertaining. I'm curious to see if the Dolphins can make this playoff push. I think they're not that great of a team. And so they do get to the playoffs. I think they're out of there because they're going to be on the road. The Bills are so far ahead. They're going to be on the road if they do make the playoffs. But they're 4-6 right now. See if they can make this playoff push and get first rounded because Miami trying to travel on the road in January, they're out of their first round. But thought this was an above average game, giving it a 64 out of 100. Now on to our next game, which is the LA Rams take on the New England Patriots. The LA Rams, let's start with them, who won this game 28-22. Matthew Stafford here. Great game by him. 295 passing yards, 4 passing TDs. Puka Nacua, their number one wideout. But there is a debate. Cooper Kupp's right there with him, but Puka goes for 7 catches, 123 yards, and a TD. Cooper Kupp goes for 6 catches, 106 yards, and 2 TDs. So great game by both those wide receivers, dynamic duo they have over there in LA. Now, Kyren Williams goes on the ground for 86 rushing yards. Doesn't get a TD this game. So I know somebody put a parlay in for Kyren Williams. Rushing TD or receiving TD, anytime TD. You're madly disappointed right now because he's normally automatic for at least 1 TD. Doesn't get one this game, but still has a solid game on the ground. Flip over to the New England Patriots. Drake May gets to start yet again. He's having a solid season. All these quarterbacks that are playing, these rookie quarterbacks, having solid seasons. Even Caleb Williams. But Drake May goes for 282 passing yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. Unfortunately, that interception came at the end of the game and cost the Patriots the game. They had a chance to go drive down the field and get the game-winning touchdown. Weren't able to do that. But solid game here by Drake May other than that. On the ground, Ramondre Stevenson, 20 carries, 73 yards. Not a great game by him. And it's interesting because I thought Ramondre is such a solid running back a couple years ago, or was it just last year? No, yeah, it was a couple years ago now that I think of it. Because last year he had a down year. He kind of got hurt as well. But a couple years ago, I'm like, this man's really solid. They gave him his big contract over the offseason. And, it's like, Ramondre may or may not be all that. I'm not sure exactly. So, only time can tell. You're a New England Patriot fan. Let me know what you think about Ramondre Stevenson. Are you agreeing the contract you guys gave him or not? Because this running back class coming out this year is so deep, they could have just got another running back, if that makes sense, instead of paying Ramondre Stevenson a 4-year deal. But the person I do hope the New England Patriots end up getting, they got 3 wins, so I don't think they'd be the 1 seed. Not the 1 seed. They definitely won't be that. But I don't think they'd be the first overall pick. If they can get somebody like Ted McMillan to help Drake May out at wide receiver, I think that would be huge. Because Wide receiver wise, Kendrick Bourne leads the way here. He goes for 70 receiving yards, 5 catches, 5 targets, gets the TD. But there's nobody that really scares you on this offense or anybody that I think is elite. Drake May does spread the ball out pretty well this game, though. Gets everybody involved here, multiple pass catchers. But nobody on this New England offense is scary. I think New England needs to do a whole lot of things because I think their roster is very lackluster. But I do think they hit the nail on the head with Drake May at number 3 overall. So shout out to the New England Patriots for having who I believe will be their franchise quarterback. Overall, I thought this game was above average as well. I'm giving it a 65 out of 100. Now on to our next game, which is the Cleveland Browns take on the New Orleans Saints. And you guys see our cover athlete here. And before I go ahead and talk about Taysom Hill, I got to talk about how I got to vent real quick. So I have my boy Dan. He's 10-0 in the fantasy playoff league. Well, our money league. He's talking, reckless all season. He hyped because he's undefeated and all that. I'm going to put hands on him this week, right? So I thought. Taysom Hill decides to go for 40 fantasy points at the tight end spot. I have George Kittle. I normally don't ever get diffed at tight end, right? Even if I go against Brock Bowers, I'm confident in Kittle's ability to at least keep up. I can't even blame George Kittle for getting outscored this week because this is nonsense. The Saints are trying to run out the clock, and they let this old man run for a 75-yard rushing TD. And I'm just over here, jaw on the floor, just in disbelief of the nonsense I'm watching. I just don't think the Browns want it. I think they're tanking for Travis Hunter, tanking for Ashton Genty, tanking for Cam. They're tanking for something. And though Jameis, personally, in my opinion, wasn't bad this game. He goes for nearly 400 passing yards, 395 passing yards. He kind of his rushing goes for over 400 total yards. He had 8 rushing yards. Had 2 passing TDs. So I thought Jameis is solid, and he's getting the best out of his players here. Who Cedric Tillman doesn't have the biggest game, but Jerry Jeudy does. Jerry Jeudy goes for 6 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. David Njoku goes for 9 catches, 81 yards, and Elijah Moore goes for 6 catches, 66 yards, and gets the other TD. So solid game from them. Nick Chubb, one of his best games of the season from an efficiency standpoint. 11 carries, 50 yards here. So solid game by the Browns offense. Unfortunately, they weren't able to score. They had a couple missed field goals, and then they were down multiple touchdowns at the end of the game, so they tried to go for it on downs and turned it over there. But not a bad game by the offense. Now we go look at the Saints on the flip side, though. Now, oh my goodness, Taysom Hill. Let's start with our cover athlete here. 7 carries, 138 rushing yards, 3 rushing TDs. Receiving wise, he also goes for 8 catches, 50 receiving yards. And then passing wise, he goes for 18 passing yards. He did throw an interception as well. But who cares about the INT? When you go for over 200 scrimmage yards as a do-it-all player, the Swiss Army knife himself. Great game here by Taysom Hill. Derek Carr, 248 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. Alvin Kamara, 16 carries, 67 rushing yards. No TDs because Taysom Hill actually got them all. Taysom Hill, the vulture that he is, right? But Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I want to also talk about MVS here. 87 receiving yards, a 71-yard receiving TD. Big play threat here, the guy in New Orleans. Great pickup by them. So the New Orleans Saints, who I thought, I was drinking the Kool-Aid early on in the season. They found themselves at 4-7. I don't think they can make a playoff push or anything, but must feel good for them to get another win here. Overall, I thought this game with the Taysom Hill performance slightly above average. I'm going to give it 58 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game. Again, the Colts won 28-27 because Anthony Richardson got the go-ahead touchdown. Anthony Richardson, quarterback I didn't like coming out of college. I had question marks about him. Knew he had all the talent in the world to become something special. But I didn't see the accuracy. I didn't see the mental stuff. Reading defenses, all that. But this game, solid game. Like I say, he had 2 rushing TDs. One was the go-ahead one that gave the Colts a 1-point lead. Now, passing-wise, he goes for 272 passing yards and a passing TD and goes 0 interceptions. Really good game here by Anthony Richardson. They got talented pieces around him at wide receiver. Josh Downs, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Michael Pittman is also a solid wide receiver. I like Alec Pierce as a deep threat. I think Adonai Mitchell can develop to be something special. I think they got pieces around him, and Anthony Richardson can get it going. The sky's the limit for the guy. I'm not sure if he can or can't. I'm curious to see what they do in the future. Do they draft a quarterback? Do they give AR another try? I think you gotta give AR another try. I think it's too early to move off of your fourth overall draft pick. But we look at Jonathan Taylor. He goes for 24 carries, 57 rushing yards. Not the best game here for him. On the flip side, we got Aaron Rodgers. 184 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, 22 of 29. So it's not a horrible game, but like it's a whole lot of dinking and dacking. When you're averaging 6 yards per attempt, you're not throwing the ball down the field enough. Devontae Adams, though, 6 catches, 72 receiving yards. Garrett Wilson, 4 catches, 18 receiving yards. Breece Hall gets a receiving TD and a rushing TD. So he goes over 100 scrimmage yards this game. To be exact, 121 scrimmage yards. So solid game here by Breece Hall, who's been up and down all season long. The Jets lose another game. Close game. And Aaron Rodgers used to be really good at these late game heroics and stuff like that. Comeback king. I don't know where he ranks on the comeback most fourth quarter game winning drives, anything like that, but I know he got to be high up there. They just have not won many this year, if any at all. You know, they lose all these close games and they fall to 3-8, and I believe they have a bye week next week, and it could be goodbye to a lot of players, right? At least come off season. You know, I don't know what the future holds, but I think they move off of Aaron Rodgers. If they don't and they try to run it back, I don't know what you're running back to. Maybe another 5-win season if they even get to 5 wins. But that's it for this game. I thought the game was amazing, though. 93 out of 100. The Colts keep their slim playoff chances alive. The Jets are out of there. I know they're not delusional enough to think otherwise. And then, you know, amazing game, though. 93 out of 100. Next game, though, Ravens-Steelers. And the Steelers do it again. They win another game without scoring a single touchdown. Chris Boswell might be the best to ever do it. You know, people are saying Justin Tucker was the best kicker of all time. It might be Chris Boswell. Okay, you look at the stats. Boswell goes 6 for 6. His team wins. Justin Tucker misses 2 field goals this game. His team loses. There was a kicker diff. Yes, indeed, there was a kicker diff. But we go ahead and dive into the stats here, starting with the Steelers. Russell Wilson throws an interception. Bad game here by Russ. 205 passing yards. Not a great game by Russ by any means necessary. Kind of a bad one, but was enough for them to win. He got them down the field. Got some big plays for them to get field goal range. Key conversions. Rushing wise, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, they combined for 27 carries, 104 rushing yards. So not a great game by them per se, but George Pickens is solid here. 8 catches, 89 receiving yards. They did enough to win. You know, mainly the Chris Boswell show, and then relying on their defense. Patrick Queen on a little revenge game leads the team in tackles. Now we go over to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson might be the first time he's been sub 50% completion percentage on the year, if I'm not mistaken. He has an interception this game, but really it wasn't his fault. One of those, you know, should have got caught type stuff. Bad at the line of scrimmage, whatever the case may be. Forgot exactly what it was, but Isaiah likely leads the way here with 4 catches, 75 receiving yards, 8 flowers, 2 catches. He gets the receiving TD, though. Only 39 receiving yards. Derrick Henry, the Offensive Player of the Year, and Lamar Jackson combined for 17 carries, all 111 rushing yards. So, and Derrick Henry gets the rushing TD. This game was for the division lead at the time, and the Steelers won it at home. And what you expect to be an AFC North type football game. So I'm going to give it a really good score of 79 out of 100. But it wasn't very entertaining. Just the stakes were so high. And, I mean, it is frustrating to watch Justin Tucker just be a shell of himself. At least when Aaron Rodgers fell off, you could say, it made the Achilles injury, whatever the case may be. I don't know what happened to Justin Tucker. It happened overnight here. No injury or anything. Now we're going to look at the Broncos-Falcons game. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Jesse Bates saying that the Bo Nix, watch the tape, he ain't all that. And you get lit up by Bo Nix. The Denver Broncos did whatever they wanted this game. Bo Nix was phenomenal, sensational. He goes for 307 passing yards, 4 passing TDs. On the ground, Javonte Williams also gets a rushing TD, 9 carries, 59 yards. Receiving wise, Lil Jordan Humphrey gets a TD. Marvin Mims gets a TD. Troy Franklin gets a TD. Their tight end Nate Atkins gets a TD. Or maybe that's their fullback. I don't know who. He's throwing TDs to anyone and everyone. Cortland Sutton leads the way receiving wise in 7 catches, 78 yards. This game was a massacre. I won't keep you too much on this game. Kirk Cousins on the flip side. Another bad game by Kirk Cousins. 18 for 27, 173 passing yards, 1 interception. Bijan was contained. He had 12 carries for 35 rushing yards, so they didn't get much going that on the ground. Drake London led the way here with 3 catches, 61 yards, but there's nothing in this game the Falcons could really do. I think the Falcons might be time to make a change. Kirk Cousins seems like he's getting worse and worse. The confidence seems gone. Maybe it's too early because they're still 6-5. But the Kirk Cousins that threw for 500 yards, I'm not sure if he's there anymore. So this might be another fall off that happened overnight. Because that Falcons versus Bucks game in week 4 or 5, I'm not sure which one, can't recall. Phenomenal game. Kirk Cousins 500 passing yards, game-winning TD. This fall off happened overnight. Now, I could be a little biased here. Full disclaimer, I do have a dynasty league where I have Michael Penix and Bo Nix. So I would like for the Falcons to make that change. So I might be a little biased there, but overall, I thought this game was egregious. I'm giving it a 9 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Seattle Seahawks take on the San Francisco 49ers. And this was another game of the year candidate, in my opinion. Geno rode him off, walked him off. He did it all. Geno Smith gets a 13-yard scramble TD run to win the game. They were down 4, needed a touchdown. Geno calls his own number to go get it. Didn't have a great game here, but when they needed him most, he was there. 221 passing yards, threw an interception, but did what he had to do in the fourth quarter especially. We look at receiving-wise. JSN, 10 catches, 110 yards. DK Metcalf, 7 catches, 70 yards. Tyler Lockett, 2 catches, 19 yards. So Tyler Lockett seems like he's phased out of this offense pretty much. He still gets involved, but he's definitely not the number 2 wideout anymore. It is JSN at least. But JSN could be the number 1 wideout. The amount of volume he's been getting over these past few weeks have been sensational. I thought about having him be on the cover athlete a few weeks back when they played against the Rams. Didn't put him on there. If he has another pop-off week, I will look to try to put a Seattle Seahawk on him, but especially him. Kenneth Walker, he had 14 carries, 54 rushing yards, and a TD. So a good game here by him as well. And now we go look at the San Francisco 49ers on the flip side. Christian McCaffrey's back, of course. 19 carries, 79 rushing yards here. Jawan Jennings, receiving-wise, leads the way. 10 catches, 91 receiving yards, and a TD. Brock Purdy wasn't that good this game. He goes for 159 passing yards, a TD, and a pick. Jennings looks like the number 1 wideout on this offense. Besides Kittle. Kittle is out this week. So, with no Kittle, it was the Juwan Jennings show yet again. McCaffrey had 4 catches, 27 yards, but Deebo Samuel is somebody I'm so disappointed in. And I expected for him to step up, and they especially needed him to step up with Brandon Ayuk going down. He hasn't been there really for them this year. And this is their 3rd division loss. So the Niners find themselves at 5-5. And I don't think the Niners can recover in time to make the playoffs. Because it's tough to get that wild card spot with the Vikings and the Lions only having 2 L's and the Packers being up there and the Commanders being up there. It's going to be tough to get that final wild card spot. But they can try to win the division here. And they're right there with the Rams and Seahawks and the Cardinals. But the main problem they're having is that they lost a game to all these teams. So when they see these teams again, they have to win them all. At least go 3-3 in the division to really have a chance. And if they don't do that, they're in deep, deep trouble. But overall, I thought this game was truly great. I'm giving it 89 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which was the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Buffalo Bills. And the Kansas City Chiefs suffer their first L of the season. Josh Allen goes out there and gets the job done. They beat the Chiefs yet again. This might be the 4th year in a row they beat the Chiefs in the regular season. They really do play this game like it's their Super Bowl, man. They give it their all every time. Josh Allen here, 262 passing yards, a touchdown and an interception, Solid game here by Josh. He also goes for 55 rushing yards and a TD, so 300 total scrimmage yards over that. Khalil Shakir leads the way with 8 catches, 70 receiving yards. Amari Cooper, the wide receiver they got in, had 2 big plays here, a 30-yard catch and a 25-yard catch. Those are only 2 catches of the game, but they're big. And then Curtis Samuel gets the TD for the Bills, the receiving TD that is. 5 catches, 58 yards. Dawson Knox goes for 4 catches, 40 yards, filling in for Dalton Kincaid, who's out. So, solid game here. James Cook doesn't do too much on the ground, 9 catches, 20 yards, but he does get 2 rushing TDs. Those were huge. Now we go over to the Chiefs, who take their first L of the season. Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I kid you not. The final interception sealed the game. But Josh Allen was still on the sideline looking like a Vietnam survivor. This man was having PTSD. Oh my goodness. I'm like, Josh, you're up 9, bro. You can relax a little bit. Like, even if Mahomes scored, they got to get the onside kick. Josh like, nah, they will do it. They will find a way. The football gods have been cruel to the Buffalo Bills, but this time they weren't so cruel. The Bills won this game. They were the better team this game. Like I said, Pat Mahomes, though, 196 passing yards, though, 3 TDs, 2 picks. Kareem Hunt still filling in for Isaiah Pacheco, could be returning next week. Kareem Hunt goes for 14 carries, 60 rushing yards, so not a bad game for Kareem Hunt. Yet again, solid game. Receiving wise, Xavier Worthy, 4 catches, 61 yards, and receiving TD. I was worried about him coming into the league because I thought he was just going to be one of those speedy guys. And he hasn't had a great season, but he hasn't been bad. He's been okay. Now they got DeAndre Hopkins. He didn't do too well. Travis Kelce also didn't do well. So the Buffalo Bills defense did a great job neutralizing their players. But Noah Gray, who I think might be the starting tight end next year, I could see Travis Kelce retiring. Noah Gray, 4 catches, 23 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Noah Gray, the next tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, solid game by him. Overall, though, I thought this was a great game. I'm giving it 84 out of 100. Might be the second worst game in this rivalry over the past 4 or 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. Because the only one I think that was a more than one possession game was the AFC Championship game where the Bills got blown out. And Diggs was looking at the confetti rain down and all that. I think that might have been the worst game. But other than that, I think all the other games came down to one possession. Now, on to our next game, which was also one possession game. The Cincinnati Bengals take on the Los Angeles Chargers. This game was a must-win for the Bengals. They're 4-6. They needed this win to go to 5-6. If they go to 7 L's, they will have to win out to have a chance. But you also lose to the Chargers, who will be in that playoff wild card spot. So you're gonna lose the tiebreaker to them and stuff. Must-win game here for the Bengals, and they find themselves down in a 24-3 hole, but they fight themselves out of it. They crawl back into this game, and they tied the game up. So after being down 21, the Chargers squandered the lead. But what happens? J.K. Dobbins, walk-off TD, 18 seconds left, 29-yard run. He dives into the end zone. I thought it was a little worrisome because technically you kind of just went down at the 1, kicked the game-winning field goal. You guys won that way. You gave Joe Burrow 18 seconds to go down the field to see what he could do. The Bengals weren't able to do anything, though. But they were able to go for 356 passing yards, 3 passing TDs by Joe Burrow. Chase Brown, of course, we know Zach Moss is getting a lot of the workload here. 22 carries, 86 rushing yards. So they leaned on him heavy. He had 5 catches, 57 receiving yards, so dual threat. Not bad. T. Higgins go for 9 catches, 148 receiving yards, and a receiving TD. Jamar Chase goes for 7 catches, 75 receiving yards, and 2 receiving TDs. Then we go look at the Chargers side of things. Justin Herbert was just as good. He goes for over 360 total yards, 297 through the air, 65 on the ground, 262 yards to be exact total. Now he also gets you 2 passing TDs. You go look at J.K. Dobbins. Didn't do much all game long, but he had that 29-yard TD that walked him off. Had 56 total rushing yards and 2 rushing TDs. Lat McConkey led the way here receiving-wise. He goes for 6 catches, 123 yards. They hit the money on this pick right here in the first round. Great wide receiver that Lat McConkey is. Even Quentin Johnston, the guy they took in the year prior in the first round, had been playing well. He scores another TD. He goes for 2 catches, 48 yards, and their tight end Will Disley goes for 4 catches, 80 yards. So spectacular game here, given a 97 out of 100. Absolutely love this game. Now we're going on to our next game, which was the Monday night game. It was the Houston Texans taking on the Dallas Cowboys. So this is the in-state showdown, and this game was bad. I will not lie to you. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. Cooper Rush had 354 passing yards, a touchdown and an interception. All these yards, empty calorie, garbage time. Who cares? Rico Dowdle didn't get anything on the ground. He had 10 carries for 28 yards. CeeDee Lamb, solid game here. 8 catches, 93 yards. Kevontae Turpin, 3 catches, 86 yards, 64-yard TD. So he had the only TD of the game for the Cowboys. And it was on a slant route. Used his speed after the catch. He just ran past everybody. He's an elite playmaker for this team. I believe he came from the USFL or XFL, one of those minor league teams. So it's great to see somebody come from there, go to the pros, get me to the big leagues, and still be productive. So shout out to him if that is the correct story. I'm pretty sure that's him. But there's a bunch of garbage here. Now for the Texans. Joe Mixon, somebody I thought that could have got the cover athlete this week, didn't give it to him. But he definitely could have got it. 20 carries, 109 yards, 3 rushing TDs. Also goes for 2 catches, 44 yards. A 37-yard catch and run was the longest he had. So he goes for over 150 scrimmage yards. 153 to be precise. And CJ Stroud, solid game here. 257 passing yards, an interception. And he did what he had to do. But the most infuriating thing about this matchup, in my opinion, is the fact that I needed 15 points from Nico Collins. He finished his game with 4 catches, 54 yards. So he only gave me 9.4. So the dude went 11-0 in our money league. And he's talking reckless like he's hot stuff and all that. He's buns. I'll talk about him later, don't worry. But I needed 15 points for Nico Collins. First play of the game, Laramie Tunsil, illegal man downfield penalty. On a screen pass to Nico Collins that goes for 75 yards and a touchdown. I couldn't believe it. I would have won instantly, but I ended up losing. So the dude goes undefeated, but that's a different story. But overall, Texans won this game decisively. It was a horrible game to watch. Truly an awful game. Given an 11 out of 100. The only reason this game was a little bit better than the other ones, you got the highlight player Kevontae Turpin and Joe Mixon. But I mean, there's a little bit more pleasure in the Cowboys getting beat up. But other than that, that will conclude this video. So as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you guys on the next one. If you made it this far, let me know by typing giveaway in the comment section.